All right, it's time for a perspective shift. People in the Bible were in good shape, and we could learn a whole lot from them. Consider this. We know the Bible story about the Israelites, how they left Egypt, wandered in the wilderness, and then 40 years later, they came to the promised land, Canaan, and all that kind of stuff. But have we ever thought about all of the walking that they did? Now, I'm going to talk about this from a certain perspective. Consider this. So they walked for 40 years to get from Egypt to the promised land. Now, we don't necessarily know exactly how long they walked every day, but we do know, at least have a pretty good idea of how long it should have taken them to get there. So apparently the distance between Egypt and, Canaan is somewhere around 200 miles. Okay? Somewhere around 200 miles. Now, apparently, this trip should have taken them somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks. I saw an approximation of about 10 days. Okay? Pretty simple math. So, if they had gone, if they took as long as they really had to take, 200 miles over 10 days is 20 miles per day. Now, we know that it took way longer than that. So I'm not going to even speculate in this video how much they actually walked for, however many 40 years. But we can kind of speculate that they would walk as a people 20 miles a day. Now, these were nomadic people. This was thousands of years ago, sure. But the point that I want to make is that these were people, men, women, boys, and girls, walking 20 miles a day. We feel good when we might do 10,000 steps? In one day? We think we're killing it. But according to my Fitbit, when I used to wear that thing, whenever I would do about 10,000 steps, that usually ended up being about 5 miles in one day. 5 miles in a day. Now, and that's me going and intentionally walking. Well, for exercise sessions. Well, a lot of times for me, it's me walking to just kind of decompress, pray, that kind of deal. But how many of y'all know that 5 miles is way less than 20 miles? My point is, so I'm not trying to create some sort of theological support for why Christians should walk 20 miles a day. That's ridiculous. But my point is, we are so used to convenience that we think we're doing good, and we're way lower than our capacity. Whenever you consider how nomadic people like Israelites, and of course everybody in the world at that time actually used to do. And I'm sure that wasn't, it's imagine if you did 20 miles in a day. So if to get from 5 to 20, you have to multiply by 4. So that is more, this is actually somewhere around, I would approximate 4,000 steps a day. If you were to start from where you are and do, not just think you okay doing 10,000 steps a day, which I'm not mad at that. But if you were to do 40,000 steps a day, just walking, I'm not even talking about power walking. I'm not talking about sprints and stuff and all that. I'm talking about, and keep in mind, these folks are a lot of times carrying things too. If you did 40,000 steps in a day, tell me your body wouldn't change. Tell me that your numbers wouldn't improve, your blood sugar, your blood pressure, all that kind of stuff. Let's shift our perspective. Yes, I know we work totally different, but what I want to say is we kind of settle for these metrics that somebody else set, like this, you're doing good if you're doing this. But you have to understand that your body was made to move. You're made to be able to do this kind of stuff. Think about the animals that we see. We have a lot of deer in my neighborhood. Think about how much they walk. They are walking all the time. You know what I mean? The dogs that we have, a lot of times they want to get outside and walk as much as possible. So the point that I'm making is we got to shift our perspective in regard to movement. You're made to move. You're made to move. So even if you get, 7,000, 10,000 steps a day, you really could do way more. You have a capacity to do way more. Well, eventually, if you're not in shape, you might have to build up to it. But my point is, you're supposed to be able to do that, okay? Let me know what you think about this in the comments. 40,000 steps a day. What do you think would happen if you did that? What if we took pointers from Bible folks and did that? Oh, and also, if you haven't watched this video over here, make sure you watch that as well. Thank you for watching this one.